By saying, what is up, you guys? FC here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to build this rather complex looking starter house, when in actuality, it's rather simplistic. Let's get into it. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that this house has a lot of spruce. What you want to do is start by building up spruce stripped logs in 3 tall pillars 3 blocks across from each other. Then build in the next pillar, which is going to be 5 blocks from that left one right there, but it's still going to be 3 tall. Then you're going to use stairs and slabs to emulate the arch, which I will be showing you right now, which is slabs and then a trapdoor. This is because if you try to use trapdoor and slabs on that one, it becomes too flat and no longer has an arch to it, making it rather boring to look at, to say the least. Then continue your 3x3 little gaps in between where your arches are. Like such, same height, same dimension going across 3 blocks. The only one that's different is that 5 block one because you want a porch right outside your house. But right now we're working on the walls, or the beginnings of where your walls are going to go. Continue your arch pattern, which is your slabs on the right and left and then trapdoor in the middle, and then finish it up here. This is so you have a breakup between your porch and your house. This will help you in building both interior, exterior, and just in general makes your life a million times easier. Now we're back at it again with our same gradient, because I really like this gradient. It goes well together and all the blocks come from the same spot in the earth. Well, relative same spot, unless you're really unlucky. I always run into andesite, maybe you don't. It's not too difficult to find, but go for it. It'll look fantastic with your stone and stone brick, as well as cobblestone. I did not use stone, I only used stone brick, cobblestone, and andesite to keep it rather simplistic and a lot easier to build. Because I don't want you spending a million years collecting 100 different materials. Instead, I want you to collect a few simple materials and then get going with those in different forms. Then put torches in the bottom, because we're leaving it hollow. This is because you want to save materials, simple as that. Now, theoretically speaking, you could actually fill it in. I would not suggest that, as it's just going to cost more. Then here's a little bird's eye view for those of you who don't want to make your own gradient. What I've been doing so far is just making a gradient throughout it, using those 3-foot blocks we just talked about. This is so you have a breakup between them. Now here's a little go around to show you what it's supposed to look like in totality. This is just so you have a general point of reference, so that way you're not confused. Now, we are going to be building another gradient right outside where your porch is. But before we get into that, you're going to notice that I put torches underneath these. This is so monsters don't spawn, and you can keep it hollow because blocks are a pain to gather in both survival and in creative. Now, fill in your walls like you did previously by going across and through, and make sure you fill in the parts even where you have your little columns of spruce stripped logs, so you can have the continuation of the block as you go. As you're filling it in, you're going to finish up, and you see how we have it 1 block back, not aligned with the columns in front. Now we're adding in our entrance to our porch, which is just going to be stairs of the same blocks, andesite, cobblestone, and stone brick. Then put torches into the bottom. I made a little bit of a pattern. You don't have to, just spam some down there so that way your monsters don't spawn. Monsters are a pain. You don't want to have to deal with that. It's just a bunch of nothing that you should deal with, alright? Put torches in there, make your life a million times easier. Now we're going to start on the house. A little bit of footage behind that, a little bit of messed up, so here but it is. 6 blocks tall on the same columns that you previously started with your stripped logs. Make sure to leave your slabs and trapdoors empty as you're going across. Like such, then put your stripped spruce logs going across on the top, and your birch planks going behind that by 1 block. This is so you can create a level of depth and break up all of the birch with your spruce, which we will be doing in a little bit here. In the meanwhile, you're putting all of these birch planks in. I would suggest you continue with the palette that I have here. However, this is your build, so if you really want to change it up, feel free to. You could always use dark oak against the birch, or spruce against the oak. Doesn't matter, but this color palette goes best together. Now we're creating our little details, which is going to be 2 spruce slabs on the right and left, and a trapdoor in the middle, like such. Then, once you've done that, you're going to go over to wherever you put your door, but in the middle, left, right, doesn't matter. Just make sure that it's not by your stairs, and you're going to put upside down stairs on the bottom and trapdoors on the top. Then continue that same pattern where you have trapdoors in the middle and your slabs on the right and left, like such. You notice how it's a bit thick at the bottom? That is perfectly fine. That is what you want. Now, for your windows. Your windows are going to be the same pattern. I didn't quite show it here, but they're going to be hanging over the block by a little if you look at on the inside, on both the top and the bottom for those little top and bottom trapdoors. If you're building a survival or creative, it's going to have the same effect where it's kind of above the block by, a trapdoor's length. That's fine, that's what you want, is so you can have that detail for the window without giving up that archway at the top and the bottom. I am building in 1.16.4. This may not be the case for you. You may be building in the new snapshot. I'm fairly certain it'll work on the snapshot. You could always build it in previous versions, also not sure if it works there, so I would suggest just building this in 1.16.4. However, as you're going around creating your windows, you're going to see that this one is a little bit different. The bottom part is going to be sitting on the staircase like such, instead of kind of blended in. This is just because of how it is, and you can keep the arch. Now we're putting in our windows. I would suggest something of the blue variety. However, your house. Feel free to pick whatever color you want. All of them go fantastic with this color palette. You could even use lava for your windows. I don't care. Will it go well? Probably not. Next up, fill up your little top part where you have 2 birch planks on the left, build up your middle columns by 1, and then continue with this birch, going on 2 on the right, 3 in the middle, and 1 in the middle. Now we're doing a little details on the sides here. Footage got a little bit messed up, that wasn't my bad. Basically, put your trapdoors on the 3rd block and in the middle on the 3rd block. Simple as that. Now you're going across with your roof, well, your outline for the roof, which is going to be your spruce slabs, going down, creating a bit of an arch at the beginning, then going across by 3, up by a block, up by another half a slab, then down and across by 3 again. This is the same pattern I usually use, as it is a lot nicer and a lot easier to continue to copy and follow. That left one right there and this right one are not the same. Make sure that you keep that in mind when you're building it, because this one on the right has a little bit more flat to it versus the other one, which has a bit more of a curve to it. Best thing to do for each and every single one of my roofs is just to pause it and copy it. But basically, to walk you through the process, it's just building up by half a slab, creating a bit of a staircase right there, then going across by a total of 3, then 3, then 3, while building up by half a slab each individual time to create a bit of a curve. If you'd like to see a tutorial on every single type of roof that I know, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to make one. Then continue this from the 2 other sides, going all the way across. It's going to be a little bit difficult at first as you're creating this, but I would suggest just pausing it, copying it, and then continuing to copy it over from the other side. Easy enough. And the best thing to do for this next top part is to build each side by 3 slabs in total, then build up by half a slab, then by 3 in total, like such. Then 3, then up by half slab, then 3. You will do this on each little top until they reach the middle section, like the absolute center of the house, which is going to be right about there, where you're going to then build it up by half a slab. This is just so you have a bit of a change in the roof, and that's all of them can meet up and your roof can go together. Next up, build your edges out up by half a slab on both the left and the right, then start your diagonal. This diagonal is going to continue all the way throughout the house, while building up by half a slab each time. Yet again, the best thing to do for this is just to pause and copy it, as it will be on every single one of them. And once you have one, you can just copy it over from the left to the right if you are using World Edit, or if you aren't, because it's going to be the same roof throughout all of them, as long as you get one side right. Then as you're going through with your diagonals, you're going to want it going up by half a slab on each part, then the corners going by a little bit of a corner, as you see there, kind of like an L, but not quite, as it's a bit shorter. Then, when you're going across with your roof, you're gonna see how it starts to look a bit bright, but that is what you want. As the color palette, I wanted it to be rather easy to acquire all the blocks in survival, and you just have to collect a large amount of them, versus collecting 100 different blocks and collecting a little bit of them. As I figured it would be a lot easier for people in survival and creative, since in creative you have a limited hotbar space. Next up, your porch. You're going to put walls of any kind, as long as they are gray, on the columns, and then fence gates going in between them, then building up by 3 fences tall on each individual wall, then putting a wall at the top of them, so that it is total 5 tall, 3 fences in between, wall on top and bottom. Now we're doing our porch, which is going to be going across on the wall block by half a slab, then going up by half a slab, across by 3, up by half a slab, and across by 2, as it will connect up to the house and make it a totality of 3 across. Then fill it in with your birch planks. Now we're going to get to work on our horse stable. It'll be 3 blocks across from each and every single one of these. If you're having a hard time, just line them up with your little columns, except for on the back. With your walls, then fill in with your fence gates. Now build up by 4 on the ones on the outside, and the ones in the house, build them up by 5 using your spruce fences. Then pop some stone, cobblestone, andesite, whatever wall you're using, on top. Then go across with your spruce fence gates. Once again, this is to create a bit more of an arch. Now here it's a little bit different, as you're creating a bit of an incline where it's 2 across and then 1 on that wall. If that is what you want, perfectly good. Now you're going to see how those little top bit up there connects when you're building your roof to your horse stable. And the roof to the horse stable is fairly simple. It's 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Or just 2, whichever you pick. Then fill it in with your birch. Now only fill in the top part, you don't have to fill in the bottom part, it doesn't matter. Just keep going once you fill it in. Now that you have your horse stable and your porch, we're going to add in some lighting, because I want this to be usable in both creative and survival. Pop in your stone walls on the intersecting bits of each part, unless you're working on the back of the build, which is going to be at the top, and on the edges, pop in your lanterns on the bottom part of the wall, so that it looks like they are properly stabilized, and that it gives you the lighting that you need, as monsters may spawn in between the cracks, and this is not what you want. Next up, any cracks you see in between the roof and that little edge right there, just fill them in with some birch. Next up, we're doing our little finishing greenery touches. Go around with birch leaves all the way around the build. Then, once you've gone from point A to point B, point A being the edge over there where your porch is, point B being the back where your horse stable is, then go through with your different kind of leaves. It could be oak, it could be spruce, it could be whatever the heck you want it to be. Just make sure that you have your birch and then another kind. Now, throw in whatever kind of flowers you want and some form of fern. I chose tall ferns, little white bushy flowers, the river lilies, the lilacs, and those little pink roses. They're probably roses or tulips. Don't, quote me on that one. This is just to break up the stone and the wood. Now, you're going to be going in with your granite, your podzol, and your path block. This is so you can create a wonderful pathway. That way you have a little bit of decoration outside that leads you in. Now, we're going to build up 2 of these little stone areas. They're just going to be giant rocks. It's just a mass of slabs and stairs and walls going all the way across. Now that you've done this, create your second one, build them off in the left of the path and the right of the path. I would suggest adding these in as they break up the look of your house, and they're a nice break up for the actual pathway. Best way to do it is either A, copy me, or just spam some blocks with some slabs. Now our signature lanterns, this is going to be your stripped log, your normal log, build it up to a maximum 4, going in between the 2. Then add in your wall at the top and your fences on top of that, going up to a maximum, I want to say 6, but you can work it out for whatever the height of your build is. Then put your fences going off to the left and right you have to add 1 block as you go off to your right and left. Then put your lanterns on the bottoms of them, like such, and then add trapdoors of the same type of wood that you used for the actual fences on the top. Now we're going to finish up our horse stable with a bit of a gradient, same you used for the pathway, except add in whatever your main wood is, which in this case is spruce, could be dark oak, depending on if you change the path a little bit, for the floor. Now, if this is a horse stable, you're going to want to add in your cauldrons in the middle part and sideways hay bales on the right and left. This is so your horse has feeding stations and a drinking area. If you're just having it be a little animal farm, no need to do that. Now, this next part is a slab to the left and little trapdoors going off to the left and right side of it, so that way it looks as if it's being held up and it breaks up the stone without taking up too much space. Now your seating area and your campfire. Put signs around your campfire to make it look like it's being held down, and your seating area, signs on the left and right, but everybody knows that trick. Then put in your pots, which you're going to be popping in any kind of flower you want, your house, you decide. You can even put, dying roses in there, doesn't matter to me, just as long as it's a flower. Now, let's get into the final review of this house. If you liked this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I love reading them. Have a good day, everybody. See you next week.